So I will ask who has a topic they want to talk about this week. I can wait you all out, I promise.
I have one actually. So an issue, and my name is Kendall. I've been on like one of these calls before, but I've been in customer marketing for about 8 years now, but I'm kind of a somewhat silent contributor on the Slack page. But I do.
Well, we need to work on that because you have 8 years of experience.
So this is kind of an issue I've been dealing with, but so at my company, we really have like no segmentation for our contacts, not getting help with it, to the point where like we don't even know our users. I don't know my users' titles. We have our decision makers are all in Salesforce, and then all of our users, which is way more than obviously the decision makers, probably over 30,000 plus contacts. We don't have, other than their names, we have nothing. So trying to communicate with them and actually create like targeted communications has been difficult. And I always hate just blasting out things to everyone when it might not, relate to them whatsoever. And our product team refuses to let us ask any other questions about our customers in the portal. So I guess what I'm trying to get at is I'm just curious, like, has anyone else ever dealt with that where you're really not able to segment your customers as much as you'd like to, and then, navigating that still successfully?
Kendall, what platform do you use?
For
You said your portal, is that something home
it's a SaaS company. I work for a company called Catchpoint. So
okay.
We use Power BI. I can see a lot of our users in there. But then that's how I track it. But yeah, I mean, and it's all just pulled from like the Catchpoint portal. And a lot of it is single sign-on. Honestly, for a lot of people, this sounds crazy, we don't even have their names, like their email addresses populate in their first names. And I've raised that question like so many times and just, oh, we can't fix that. And I'm like, we're a technology company, someone should know how to fix this. But
yeah, so no one's really responsible for keeping your customer data updated or in depth, right? So
yeah, and our marketing ops team, like they're obviously, working on that, but we can't really do that without our product team who's taking all this information into the portal without them wanting, to help. And they're really big on not asking our customers a lot of questions, not getting in their face too much. Because a lot of things, when our users sign into our portal, there's a lot of times an issue going on. It's internet performance monitoring. So they need to get in there. There's some critical incident going on. So we don't, a lot of in-product communication, we're kind of stopping them from solving any issues they have.
Yeah. Do you have a subgroup of customers, like a cab or a users group of some sort?
We have like the executive board, but that's not, I actually don't really manage that. And we're working on like a sort of a council right now. So in the works, yes.
And
I'm just,
Kendall,
would it help? Oh, go ahead.
Leslie also asked, do you have a marketing automation platform?
Yeah, so we mainly use HubSpot for any marketing, all of our communications, marketing automation, and everything feeds into there. We actually have more data in there than we do in Salesforce. But it's still, we can only work with what we're given.
Do you have any forms on your website or through your campaigns?
So we do, and that's luckily that's helping me like slowly add pin this data. So if people are luckily like registering for a webinar or something, like we're able to add that in, but not at scale. And not, get everyone's information. And again, like our decision makers are the ones that are filling out these forms. So we do have all of their information, like, when they are going through the sales process, we have all of theirs. But I mean, we have, companies or customers with 500 plus users, and they're not the ones, filling out those initial contact forms. And they're just our decision makers go in, they create their accounts, and they blast off invitations to users to give them their accounts. and the product team doesn't want to ask for more than name and email, and we don't have title or anything else. It's fun.
Are these people on LinkedIn?
Yeah. I mean, I would assume a majority of them, yes.
Is NPS under your umbrella?
It is not. It was under the customer success side.
Okay. I was thinking that maybe you sent out a really short survey with some kind of incentivized drawing for a certain number of winners, then you could ask them to fill out the information that you need in order to qualify, and that would get you some good, product feedback as well, but also give you some of the data that you could potentially use to do some segmentation.
Yeah. I like that idea. And then that's another thing our product team is, we would do the NPS within the portal, and they're like, no, we can't do any pop-ups, no more NPS. I'm like, we have to do something here. So it's looking at taking over just doing that via email. But yes, someone to crawl LinkedIn.
Yeah, or CSAT or any kind of short survey that would fit under your purview that you could send out without ruffling the feathers of the product team, and then just put in the fields with that survey in order to incentivize people to fill it out.
Mm-hmm. No, I think that's great.
Oh, sorry. What information or what data do you want to know about these customers? Is it that you want to know their titles, or
title would be extremely helpful, because we have several different use cases, and different people are managing different use cases depending. I mean, and some might not have anything to do with it at all. And now I'm sending them communications that doesn't even fall in their realm. Location would be nice too, but yeah, title would be ideal.
Is this so that information with the title? I'm wondering, like, if you have Pendo, could you run reports on that and kind of build personas around, like, how much people are using the site, how much they're using different features and things like that? So maybe it wouldn't actually be their title, though you could get someone to crawl LinkedIn, like Leslie said. I love LinkedIn to get information. But if you're seeing, like, okay, these people log in so often, they're most likely the admin, or this person, these types of people log in, and then kind of categorize them into different types of users.
Yes, no, that's definitely a possibility. And we could kind of clump all the different features together. There's so many, but then categorize them and base it off that.
I'm curious, what's product's reasoning around not wanting to collect this info? I mean, isn't it
what a great question.
Benefit to know more about your customers and have a database of them?
Yeah, there. I wonder that all the time. A big thing, like they say, like security, which I don't quite understand. They blame it on single sign-on a lot. Like that's why we can't gather the information. And I don't know. If I really, yeah. Listen, that's my face when they say that too. And I mean, we've brought it up several times and they just completely just like shut it down. And again, they don't want us in the platform doing really a lot of marketing at all, or getting their face any pop-ups, questionnaires. Cause I even considered doing something, just a simple pop-up asking like, hey, we are maybe looking at events in your area. We'd love to know more about you, make sure we're sending you stuff that relates to you. What is your title, your location, something like that. But they're hard no on that.
Do they
What's
get like that?
What's your
negotiate that with, do you report up to them or?
No, I refer to the CMO. I have raised this several times, but this also comes from like the CEO. He's a little bit of a roadblock, but.
He is a roadblock. He doesn't want things in the product.
He just, I know you guys are like, this is ridiculous. It sounds crazy, but he just thinks it's too much. It's too much in the portal. We don't want to be asking our customers that many questions and bothering them, and which I don't think it's. I think I'm bothering them when I'm blasting them emails that have nothing to do with them, but that's just,
Yeah. Do you have an advocacy program?
not an actual like physical advocacy program, but we're building it up
Okay. Do you
now.
have a community?
Where that's potentially next year. Yeah,
Okay.
that's it. And these are all things that'll hopefully, help me do this, but
Yeah, so what I like to do is try to get any amount of customers. So whether it's people that are in webinars, any data that I can start looking at and then drawing some conclusions or coming up with trends so that I can start to shape some of those things. How is customer success doing NPS right now?
so they actually stopped doing NPS. Sound like a broken record for that reason, because they don't want they don't want to do pop-ups. And I was like, okay, well then maybe let's do it over email. And that's a possibility right now. We also have like our support center where they get they can submit a survey after that, like their CSAT score. But yeah, I mean, they're not, and they have their own like system, the CSMs of, what they believe, what the score is, but it's not based off of anything, specific. And I wish we need to go back with and having NPS, but it's also who we're asking. So if we have the NPS, it's really only going to users because it was in the portal, and our decision makers aren't logging into the portal really as much. So we're not really asking them, we're just asking the users.
So do you have right now you have like people that do references or something like that for sales calls?
They are not.
Okay.
I'm having tons of fun, guys, I promise. No, so we have talked to the team about doing a reference program, and we have like 300, a little over 300 customers. All I would say 90% are enterprise level. So sometimes an issue is just getting them to, we have several customers that are not allowed to share who their vendors are. So that kind of doesn't help with, the reference program. And we have done references, but it's so few that we don't have like a full built out reference program for it. I had it at my last job and it was very successful, but not here.
What are your goals as in this position?
So a lot of it actually is like the advocacy piece. We finding, doing case studies, we're doing different events, finding customers for that, for podcasts. Also, I do a lot of the customer life cycle. So I work with the customer success manager. So from onboarding, deciding on different like touch points with them as well. Our review program. Yeah, it's been interesting. We've had a lot of changes too, internally. I'm one customer marketer, hopefully getting help there, but there's been a lot of organizational changes too.
Yeah, it sounds like, let's see, there's a few comments in here. Leslie says, enrich the data of a segment of customers, do a beta campaign, show the success and show execs that they are blocking you for greatness. Has to come from the top down, and the top likes numbers. Yeah, on that, I saw a video this week about how to deal with executives. And it said a lot of people try to impress executives. What you want to do is show impact, which I thought was really interesting and a good way to do it, to work with them. Can you incentivize CSMs to get that data? Seems like it should be standard CRM data. Yeah, I would agree on that, Lori. Rebecca says, feels like you need to make a business case for the business benefits of collecting the information, explain why and how you can impact revenue. Yeah, and then Lauren says, do you have any data that could help you build a business case? Yeah, so I think there's a couple of things here. And I'm not the only one that can give advice, even though I've kind of jumped on it. So what I would say is that obviously, like, the building a business case is really helpful, but sometimes it's hard, like you're running into, because you're working with all these other teams and they don't necessarily want to help you be successful. So then you have to kind of figure out a way to work with them and see what they want to do to be successful, and see if you can supplement that in some way. And I know someone else, I believe it was Ashley Ward, on a call talked about how hard it was to get product to allow them to use something. So they kind of figured out what their priorities were, and kind of worked with them until they got a way to let them use the like Pendo pop-ups or something like that, and just one way to start showing results, like these ladies are talking about in the comments. And then the other thing, something that I do, and I think it goes along with what Leslie was saying with enriching the data of a segment of customers, is I like to build my own programs. And you don't have to build out a whole community discussion forum to do that. Like you can do round table calls or something where you know your customers will find value. And just like talking to a few customers, you might be able to figure out what they would like. And oh, Dean says he's just stupefied that this is even a question.
Me too. No, and it's, incentivizing the CSMs. We've tried that. And I know everyone's dealt with this. There was like, we need more case studies, but we're not going to help get you customers for case studies, which is always fun. But, and it's, the data, I mean, it's there, but and that's the thing. The last company I worked with was a PEO, huge company. All the data was there. The people all were worked well together, and it was very easy to provide that and report on things. And here it's just, I've been here for 2 years and I still struggle like showing impact because, in a customer marketing role, you really do rely on several other teams. And if they're not willing, it kind of makes that very difficult.
Yeah, it can be really hard to work with other teams that they have no interest in your goals. They don't care as much. And I think a lot of people have different approaches for that. Like mine is trying to find out what their goals are. Like, what can I do for customer success? The community idea has been helpful for me in the past with customer success, because then they want to share that with the customers. But it is a lot of building up the rapport and just the conversations. And I don't know, were you able to listen to Ashley Ward's masterclass from a few weeks back? Because she had some ideas about working with other teams that might be useful.
I think I did. I think I might have gotten halfway through it before I had to stop, but I'll finish it. I listened to another one fully, but yeah, it's definitely a work in progress. And I mean, since I've started, I have been able to like slowly build that relationship with the product team. I mean, and other teams too. I mean, they used to say, sorry, you can't have access to customer data in Salesforce. I'm like, well, this is my job. I do kind of need that. But so, I mean, we've done that. And, the product team used to want to run their webinars by themselves with no marketing help. And that was a no-go. So that's, better, but it's just been slow. But it's getting there.
Lori, did you have some ideas you wanted to share? I see you posted a couple comments.
Oh, yeah, I'm just thinking out loud. I mean, my organization is not so product driven, so I can understand why this is like frustrating and also just sounds insane. But sometimes I think like to leverage like what maybe they need. Like we have a customer advisory board that specifically gives us product feedback. And so they're very valuable to our product team. But if you could maybe like use an opportunity to be like, wouldn't it be great, product team, if we could get this from customers, and then they get on board with your idea, and then you have some more access to the customers that you can then just kind of like, for lack of a better word, steal their data. It's not scalable, but I just was thinking maybe, it's a starting point to build whatever trust you need to, because it seems like there's a lack of trust for whatever reason there, and also gives you access to customers. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good idea.
Also, do you have any friendlies among the admins who might be able to like give you a spreadsheet of their team?
You mean at like the additional like customers, like going to them directly?
Well, you were saying that you don't have a lot of access to the end users because there's usually an admin who's inviting their team. So is there a way that you can get in touch of those with those admins who might be able to kind of give you the lowdown on who those folks are?
We could. I mean, I'm just trying to think how I could scale that.
I mean, would it be possible to do, well, I mean, maybe an email blast or something like, hey, you know, we really want to make sure that everything that we send you is going to provide value, and the best way to do that is to get to know you better. Like, can you help us out with, letting us know who your team is, so that way we can make sure that everyone is on board and we can make sure that the most important and relevant information gets to them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's a good idea. And luckily, I know that right now, the onboarding process is being revisited, and I think that could be a good point to even roll into onboarding as well.
Yeah, that could be. If the other teams are giving you a hard time, getting into onboarding could probably be a really great way. I think, like, for me, I try not to think always about what's scalable as far as like, oh, am I going to be able to get more and more? Am I going to be able to do more of this later on? But like, if I can just get 50 customers that I can talk to and build a relationship with, it's going to offer me such an array of information that I can start thinking about how to affect more of those customers and the different types of customers that there are. And then from there, like Leslie says, kind of building out some of that data. I'm a huge fan of keeping my own data, not like within the systems and things like that you have to because of privacy. But there's so much more information that I want to know about people that's not always in Salesforce. May not tell me who raised their hand, who I sent the last gift to, or even like you said, location, how many years of experience somebody has in what they're doing, so that they might want to be a speaker or something like that. So I feel like we've given you a lot of ideas, and
No,
gotta
I
kind of
appreciate it, because
go
it gets,
through that.
kind of lose the motivation when like no one's wanting to help. But and they're like, oh, we really want to put the customer first, but let's actually focus on new logos only. So
Yeah, the other thing I would say is Ari Hoffman got on a call with us back in April, I think April 21st, and there's a link for that. And he talked about like working with other teams and like building out your priorities and things like that. But I really liked his spin on how to work with the other teams to get them to see what you need access to, what you need to be able to do. So I can send you the link for that too.
okay, yeah, that would be great. Thank you.
Sure. All right. Thank you everyone for jumping in and answering questions. That was so nice. Like there's so many people in here that were answering. You're so sweet.
Thank you for listening to me complain.
Hey, it makes us useful. We're like, yes, I can do something. I can be helpful to someone. Okay, who else has a question they want to share? I know somebody does.
Right, I'll jump in.
I knew it. I was going to call on you too.
We are doing so much, but today, right now, I got the go ahead to explore the idea of outsourcing some case study writing, and it is all over the place. So I would say, one, if you have a recommendation, feel free. Two, what is reasonable what's a reasonable expectation for what they will do? And two, what's a reasonable maybe price range for it? because it's kind of all over the place. And I'm like, I don't even know. And you don't know if they're really good or not until you just try it. So, yeah.
A lot depends on what you need. Are you planning on handing somebody a transcript or a draft that you just want them to polish up, or are they also going to be conducting the interviews and getting the permissions and all that other fun stuff?
In a perfect world, we would get permissions, they would do the interviews, and then write it, and then we can like make changes or edit or whatever after the fact. But it would be basically doing the interview, writing the case study.
Okay, who knows any pricing?
And what kind of turnaround would you be looking at?
Well, right now it takes our internal team anywhere from 4 to 6 weeks to turn it around. So hopefully faster than that.
So you do have an internal content team?
We do. Yeah.
And this,
but right
so
now,
this is to augment their bandwidth or just
yeah,
take it away from them?
yeah. Ideally, I'd like to take it away from them. That sounds horrible, but that's not the way I meant it. Right now, I'm doing the interviews. So I'm doing the interviews. I am basically writing it. I'm putting it in their template. And all they do is take what I've put it in and kind of put it together and edit it for brand, you know? And I don't have the bandwidth for that. So
have you tried using ChatGPT with that? No, I'm totally serious. For 3 case studies that I've written in the last couple of months, I was able to get from just the raw transcript to a fully completed case study in about an hour.
That is really interesting. No, I have not. So we have our own AI called MindSpark that our amazing advanced solutions team put together, leveraging Microsoft and I don't even know who all. I don't know what's behind it, but they took our partners' AI capabilities and put it together into our own. And I have thrown some things in there and it's pretty good. It feels like cheating, but I'm not opposed to trying it. My concern is that even our own that's pulling from our own data is not entirely accurate. Like it's still, so I would be concerned the reason I haven't done it yet is that I would be concerned throwing our customer data into the AI.
Okay.
And worried that it would pull somewhere else.
One way around that is to, when you have your transcript in your Word document or whatever, you can do a find and basically replace all of the company name, like the people names and the company names, just put in X or some other random thing like, clownshoes.com or some, just some place saver. So that way you're essentially anonymizing it while it's writing it while still getting you the content, and then you add it back.
Interesting. I'll give that a shot.
Yeah, there's a couple different companies that are turning your Gong data. I don't know if you have Gong, but they're pulling information from the customers' calls about your products and services and that are in Gong and then turning those into case studies, kind of like a template or something to start with, like first pass. I think Laudable, and I know Laudable is doing that, but I've seen some other companies doing something as well. So I'd have to dig around and see what I could find out because I think it's like constantly changing and improving. And I think Dito has something too. So there's those, but then there's always the nice case studies that are super nice. And I guess it depends on what you want, like how researched and well put together it is. Like I know Uplift Content and Case Study Buddy both do them. And whether you like testimonials and videos first, or, it's all over the place. Do you have any preferences or know what works for your people?
We definitely want to focus on quality, right? The case studies that we have are okay. They need to be better. Video, we're not so worried about. We do video really well. But the written case studies that we have on the website is really the focus here. So it would be, and they need to be concise, but well written, compelling, right? Quality over quantity for sure. Which is why I got the go ahead to talk to an agency about doing some writing for us. Not that our people aren't good, they are. But because they don't have the bandwidth, really, it gets pushed to the bottom of the pile every time, right? That's why it takes so long to get anything turned around. And two, they just don't put a whole lot of effort in it. They're just trying to knock it out. And case studies are, they're pretty easy, right? It's challenge, solution, outcome. Like this, it's pretty formulaic. So I don't think it's not really challenging for them. It's not exciting for them. So they put, I think, kind of a minimal amount of effort into it. And it's not their priority, right? They want to go be writing white papers and blogs and, fun stuff.
For the pricing, I've done it two different, one was like a mom and pop shop. They were $1,800 to $2,600 per story. Another was an agency that was about $3,500. And if there was, some complexities like, hey, there's Japanese language, it could go up to 5,000. I too prefer an agency versus internal, because you always get pushed back, and an agency is like, hey, here it is 6 days later, your draft, pretty darn well. You edit a little bit, send to the customer. Whereas internal writers, it just gets pushed out. Same experience that I've had.
Yes, that is what I'm experiencing. Thank you for that. I appreciate it.
Is that a good price, $3,500 for a case study? Anybody else?
That was like two. So I felt that $1,800 to $2,600 was a pretty fair price. The agency that another agency worked with, it was up to $3,500 to $5,000. I felt like that was high. The benefit there was it didn't matter what language, so to do an interview in. So that was something I couldn't get on my own. So therefore, it was, you had to pay that premium price.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I hired an agency that's been a year and a half or so, and it was with AWS. So AWS was our partner, and we were able to get a case study written, and it had to be one of their approved vendors. And I think it was like $4,000 or $5,000. So I don't know if it was more because it was AWS and that relationship, but there's just another price point for you. And they did the whole thing. They did the interview, they did the drafts, and it had to go review. And again, because it was with AWS, like they had certain like rules, and they knew like the rules they had to follow to get it through AWS's legal.
Interesting.
Yeah, that is. Is there a preferred agency that anybody uses? Like, we've used this for a while, we've used this. No? Yes?
I haven't had very good luck with agencies. I found that unless they have a deep understanding of your company's space and what those personas are like, their copy ends up reading as very corporate, very generic, and not really worth it.
Same,
Okay.
the same experience. We've tried getting third parties to write our case studies, and they all ended up sounding the same.
Interesting.
I'll just throw out there, I threw in the chat, I can recommend someone I had worked with for many, many years, and it was Bayside Media located in San Francisco. Specifically, I worked with Patricia Schneid, but a great technical writer. But one thing I did at every company I worked with, I would bring her along. But what I did was I would have her meet with our product teams to really have them explain what our positioning was and what our messaging was. So we did that initial call with her up front so that they kind of knew our style and what our expectations were. So I set that way first. But other than that, she did all of the research. She did all of the interviews. I would join those interviews with her. And so we kind of tag teamed it a little bit, but she really led that interview process for me. And then she'd write that first draft and any revisions that we had. So, we'd have to go through some of our internal reviews as well, but in my own, but send those revisions back to her. She did as many as I wanted to. And the pricing for me with her, maybe it was just because I worked with her for so many years, but it was always around $1,500 to $1,800 per case study, which I thought was extremely reasonable. But again, it might've been just because I had a long relationship with her on that pricing. I don't know, but I mean, that was one way I got her to understand the writing style for each company, because each company I was with was a little bit different at times.
I did the same thing, Wendy, with product marketing, had the writers meet with them if there was a new specific focus, like on a certain solution, have them do another meeting with that person,
right,
product marketing manager. And then over time, they were like an extension of the team, personally,
Exactly.
for me. And it was a lot of investment up front.
And typically that first 1 to 2 case studies that I would have her do with me may be a little bit rougher on some of the revisions, but she immediately picked up on where we were focused and the changes and why we were the tone of voice or whatever it was that we were looking for. Yeah, that initial 1 or 2 could be a little rough, but after that it was smooth sailing.
Has your content team worked with any agencies or freelancers that they could recommend?
Yeah, I've got a couple names.
Because I think sometimes that can de-risk when you haven't established some folks that you can rely on. So try those that have been vetted and then look for some others to see if they invest that time in getting to know.
Yeah, no, that's actually really good. That's where I started. The price and the I don't want to say capabilities, but what they're willing to do, right, varies tremendously. We've got one agency that's willing to do all of it. They'll do the interviews, they'll do the writing, they'll do everything. There's another one that is like, nope, you do everything you're doing now, and we'll do what the copy team is doing now and charge you more for it. So I just wasn't sure what was reasonable to expect, what's reasonable for pricing, you know what I mean? So yeah, that all very, very helpful.
Yeah, it might be good, post in the community as well that you'd like some feedback and just say you're open to people DMing you. Because I think sometimes people get nervous about being specific in these things.
Yeah.
So that might be helpful too.
Yep, I will absolutely do that.
Wow.
Cool.
We only have
Thank
9 minutes left on this call. I feel like we haven't even covered a lot. I'm sure we can cover one more small thing. Anybody got something? No?
I mean, I've got plenty. If you guys are going to be quiet, I could sit here all day. So. No? Okay. I'm doing a cab next week. Who does cabs? Give me one go-to something. What do you make sure that all of your cabs have?
Fun. Leslie? Lauren, I'm sure you both have something to say about having fun with
Oh,
any of your
absolutely. But
members.
I don't want to suck up all the air in the room. Happy to talk. That's another point. I was going to say something actually much more practical, like a dossier that you can share with all the attendees before the meeting, so they know
Yeah.
who everyone else is and will be better prepared to open up when the meeting takes place.
Yay, we're doing that. That makes me feel so good. Okay.
Yeah, I'll also jump in. I actually just ran one in Chicago this week. And I have another one in New York tomorrow, or sorry, next week. I think two things I would say is like a big piece that was helpful was we sent, like, similar to what Lauren said, we sent like a cab survey and wanted to get their input on agenda topics before we even met to form the agenda. And then as well as we started the whole day with like a roundtable discussion, which I think was so valuable because it just made everyone comfortable right away. And within that survey, we kind of, told them to start thinking about these three questions, which were like, what are the use cases that you use today? What are unintended use cases that you wish that you kind of are now solving with the platform that you didn't think you would? And then what are some stuff that you wish we did that we don't? And then what are you looking to get out of the meeting? And that really helped frame the discussion. And then as a follow-up now, I'm working on like a private, I don't know if you have a community, but like one of the things I said was I kind of gauged at the end of the meeting, like, are you guys interested in joining kind of like a community group that then you can meet virtually or connect, online with each other now that you've built these relationships. And so having that like place to send people to engage after is a benefit. So those would be two recommendations.
Yes. I would love to talk to you if you've got some time, because you can ask Mary. I'm doing all the things right now.
Lovely. Yeah, I'd be happy to.
Awesome. Thank you.
Okay.
And I'm sure, Leslie, you're going to want to chime in on this too, but some kind of nice gift to thank people for their time.
Yes.
Do you have an idea of what kind of gift?
Nice.
Something really nice.
Something really nice that, as unique as possible, that that they'll appreciate.
A nice gift basket to welcome them if they're staying overnight, kind of thing, at a nice gift basket in their room, have that personally delivered. That's always nice. But then always keep in mind too, any gifts that you give, make sure that they can easily transport them home or ship them.
That is a good point.
And also keep in mind with what industries these folks might be in, because if they're in cybersecurity or healthcare, they may have legal limits of a value of what they can accept.
Yes, we definitely do have that issue.
The gift idea that I was going to recommend that we just did was Ember mugs, which everyone loved, which are like essentially these mugs that you control the temperature from your phone. So they're like, I think they were like 100 US or something. So it's like definitely a nice gift, but it is, and you can brand them.
Is
and
that the
everyone loved
portable
them.
one? Is that the portable
Yeah.
one with like a battery on it?
Yeah, I have
it's in a charging station. Yeah, and you like you just a mug, but you can also get the to-go one, but I got the mug, and then you have an app and it basically controls the temperature. So like, I'm a slow coffee drinker. Yeah, exactly. Those are the ones.
Everything is looking like space now with the background, but like, right, hold on.
It's very cool.
Yeah, my pastor had one at, well, obviously a church, duh. Sorry, but it had a battery like icon on it that was all lit up, and everybody was like, "What is that? Why does that have a battery on it?" It was so fun. So I don't know if you can do that too.
Is that one, Lauren?
Yeah.
What?
Is that one?
Yeah.
Did you go to a cab?
Fine. Yeah, well, this was actually I think I redeemed it with Influitive points actually like a couple years ago.
Nice.
I got headphones this year.
That is very cool.
It's really nice. The only problem with the Ember mugs is that they are not dishwasher safe. So if you're super lazy like me and don't want to wash them by hand, you end up not using it very much.
That's fair.
Yeah. That's a good point, because I like to have dishwasher stuff too. Like, it's weird. My husband pre-washes everything that goes into the dishwasher. He says he likes washing dishes. I don't know. I guess I just got lucky. But it drives me crazy. I'm like, why would you spend so much time pre-washing dishes and then put them in the dishwasher? It doesn't make sense to me. Okay.
Oh, my mom did that growing up. I think it's possible that maybe he grew up in a place that either didn't have a dishwasher or one that wasn't particularly good, and so you needed to in order to make sure that, you know, everything came out okay. But if you have any kind of decent dishwasher, it's totally unnecessary.
Yeah, no, he grew up in a house that didn't have a dishwasher, but he didn't start doing dishes till he was like in his 20s. I started when I was 9, and we did them twice a day, every day for 10 years. And I was like, I am not doing dishes. So, yeah, I'm done with that. But he's like, it's peaceful, I guess, doing, I mean, I don't
Really?
mind vacuuming.
Can I send
'cause-
him, can I send him to my place to do my dishes? Because I don't
I
find it
know.
peaceful at all.
I like vacuuming because it's like nice and you can see what you're doing. You're like, ah, this is nice and clean afterwards, and it drowns out your kids. And I have a lot of those, so it's nice. Okay. Anyways, now that you know
I
all
wish I
about
had that
my
experience. My dogs bark at the vacuum, so it just creates more chaos.
Okay, well, thank you everyone for jumping on. I'll make sure this recording is available to everyone in the community. Next week, we have Evan Huck from User Evidence joining us, and we are going to talk about marketing and AI. And I think he's got something special to share with us. And the week after that is the women's only, even though I've had a couple men join or sign up, and she said it was okay if they wanted to come. How to like write your resume for moving up in tech. And, you know, you can use that however you want, but I met with her last week and I sent in my resume to a few places this week and have already gotten interviews like immediately, based on her information. And I would say that even if you think your resume is good, it'd be still good to jump on a call with her. I talked to her 2 years ago and doubled my salary. And this year I'm struggling with getting more interviews and stuff. So I talked to her again and I'm already getting more interviews. My mom asked me, why would you have to change your resume after all this time? Just keep adding things. Well, the market changes and what people are looking for changes. And so I hate going back to my resume. Seriously, when I hopped on the call with her, I was sick to my stomach. But by the end of the call, I was so excited to be able to make these changes. And I think it's just going to be a great call for whoever wants to jump on. So go to luma.ma/CMA-Fridays and you can sign up. And that's it. Have a good weekend.
Thank you.
Um,
See you all
Thank
next
you.
week. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.